You know what fascinates me? The modern world has managed to create two tribes that scream at each other constantly, while both are partially right and partially blind. One side says, billionaires are evil. Wealth must be redistributed. The other side says, billionaires earned everything fairly. Leave the market alone. And honestly, reality is more complicated than both slogans, because capitalism has two completely different faces. The first face is beautiful. It is innovation. Kreation. Risk. A person creates something millions of people voluntarily use and becomes wealthy. That is not theft. That is civilization advancing. If someone builds better technology, better logistics, better communication, better medicine, society genuinely becomes richer. Wealth is not always a zero-sum game. A company can create value that did not exist before. That part is true. But then, something strange happens. At a certain scale, money stops behaving like money. It transforms into something else. Power. And this is where many free market thinkers become naive. Because once wealth becomes large enough, it no longer merely buys products. It starts shaping the rules themselves. Lobbying, regulatory influence, tax loopholes, media narratives, political access, financial favoritism. At this stage, capitalism quietly stops being the best competitor wins and slowly becomes the best connected wins. That is a completely different system. And this is where many people feel something is wrong, even if they cannot fully explain it. Now here comes the irony. Some socialists think the problem is that rich people own too many things. But that's not really the issue either. Elon Musk does not own 1 million houses. A billionaire's wealth is often ownership, networks, productive systems, future expectations, and institutional influence. You cannot magically divide stock market valuations into millions of sports cars and solve civilization, because money itself is not wealth. Productive capacity is wealth. Factories are wealth. Technology is wealth. Education is wealth. Infrastructure is wealth. Human talent is wealth. And here we reach the real danger. The danger is not simply inequality. The danger is frozen mobility. When talented people can no longer rise, when education becomes inaccessible, when small businesses cannot compete, when regulations favor giant incumbents, when central banking inflates assets faster than wages, when politicians depend on mega donors, then capitalism starts mutating into something older. An aristocracy, not kings with crowns, but institutional kings. And history shows something important. Civilizations rarely collapse because wealth exists. They collapse when opportunity disappears. That is the key difference. I'm not against wealth. I am against systems where power becomes self-reinforcing and untouchable. Because healthy capitalism requires circulation, competition, creative destruction, new people entering the game. Without that, capitalism becomes feudalism with smartphones. This is controversial, but we must be intellectually honest. If new money enters the system primarily through financial institutions and asset markets, then asset owners benefit first. This creates the feeling that the system is working for capital faster than for labor. And honestly, people are not imagining this tension. But here's another mistake. Destroying incentives will not solve the problem either. If society punishes innovation, entrepreneurship, risk-taking, excellence, then value creation slows down for everyone. The goal is not forced equality. Forced equality often creates stagnation. The goal is dynamic fairness. A system where people can rise, monopolies cannot freeze society, governments cannot endlessly centralize power, and wealth cannot permanently buy the rules. And that is when capitalism doesn't stop competing. This is GAVRIL Talk Business and Philosophy. See you next time.